I didn't start
Ah,
recording it. I put the AI on, but I didn't start the video. So I'll
yeah.
start the video. So yeah. So well, it's a good starting, good question anyway. You know what your interests are,
Oh,
and
yeah. I think I'm not sure if I mentioned to you on the staircase, but what I did for other community is I support them on solar project development or data analysis on retrofitting. To basically, I also support Rachel from Bristol Energy Network. I worked with another guy to basically review the leveling up department open data, cross pathing with the average household income data to see which area in Bristol should, have the high priority in delivering retrofitting or energy advisory services. So basically, Bristol is still big, including South Gloucestershire. Obviously, you could be very local to know exactly somehow what kind of area roughly they need help on, but not up to street level, and you don't really know the income as well. So those data will support you guys on prioritizing which area to retrofit on, and solar development as well, designing different system, and then proposing to school or whatever it is. That's what I usually do. But more than happy to see if you have any other things you would like, me or someone
yeah,
can
that's really
support.
interesting. Which what's the name of the outfit that you're working with?
Outfit?
Well, company.
Oh, my full-time job. So the stuff that I was mentioning, it's just a voluntary thing. It
Okay.
doesn't with any company, but I work for SSE.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
And so you're volunteering with uh, Bristol Energy Network and Ray.
Yeah. I did that work to them. I have a few email exchange, but we couldn't really get on to the phone to t talk about what we have found. So that's a shame. We tried to follow up for a few times, but didn't hear back from them. Rachel support myself to give a little push, but it didn't end up anywhere. So yeah.
I think we would be very interested because Resilience Network, and we did a presentation to Centrica just a few weeks
Oh,
ago,
okay.
and we were applying for an Energy for Tomorrow grant.
Okay.
And as our slideshow included a slide of Bristol showing the demographics of, wealthy and less wealthy areas.
Mm-mm-mm.
And we were saying what we want to do is we want to put in our pilot project, we
Yeah.
want we want to put solar in little clusters around Bristol, focused on the areas where there is, energy fuel poverty, less economically strong areas of the city. So
Mm-mm.
we'd be able to get a first take on what it might be like spreading
Wow.
solar around the city and cutting people's fuel bills who would benefit most.
Wow. Do you have like a dashboard or report in front of you? That sounds very interesting.
Well, I can show what I can show you if I can find it.
That is Bristol Resilient Network Group.
Yeah, it's called ResNet, Resilience Network. I'm just gonna see if I can.
Mm.
Mhm. Where are we? Can't find Zoom now. Here's Zoom. Share. Oh, I need to start the program off. Play. Sorry, that was an incoming call. I put that off. Um,
Ah, right.
and yeah, let's see if this works. I may share the wrong thing. I'm just trying to share a screen.
Oh, a Bristol Solar Challenge. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
ResNet
And
Resilient.
so our one of our first slides. That ain't it. Here we are. Um, so this was the Energy Tomorrow team. Was why are we doing this? Uh, because there is a climate crisis, right? And
Right.
we wanted to aim for and we're likely to have an unjust transition because all the wealth is concentrated in the center of the city. In fact, the wealthy white bit, that's the area of Bristol where we have a green councillor, a green MP, I mean. and it's around the edges that we've got our Labour socialist MPs, and then and those people can't buy themselves out of a crisis. They often don't even own their roofs. So wanted to focus on making it possible for. It's interesting. It's not going anywhere now. Oh yeah, we decided to do something. Is the pitch, and let me see. I don't. I'll just. So we put together this challenge. We tried to raise some money. Our idea is to develop a.
We might just stop you here. You mentioned about a battery storage offer without offering cost. That would be for domestic or commercial?
Our aim is to put. We're not interested. I won't say not interested, but we're mainly focused on domestic. So most energy groups are focused. I'll kill this. I was going to show you another slide, but it doesn't matter too much. So our aim is to put pilot projects around in the darker bits of that map. And yeah, I haven't done this, talked it through. So back to your question is, yeah, so we're aiming purely domestic. And community energy groups, typically when they talk about when they talk about putting solar on roofs, they're typically looking for big community roofs or commercial roofs that they can put the solar on. So they can say at the end of the day, oh, we got this much solar, we're generating this much energy, this much carbon savings, and we're selling the energy and we're getting a return to pay our members. We're less interested in that model and more interested in putting solar on ordinary people's roofs directly and giving them direct solar electricity. In other words, at putting it in behind the meter so that getting cheap energy without a retail markup, getting energy as cheap as possible. It's so this seems so obvious to me that this is what we should be doing, that it kind of surprises me that I have to explain it quite carefully.
I don't know. It just sounds like if the people doing it domestically, would that be actually viable for a community energy group to do it? First of all, some people they can just go to find some commercial people and do it, where the commercial partner pay upfront, and so why would they come to a community energy group? That's the first thing. The second thing is how much margin we can make out of it.
Well, so that's an interesting one. That model didn't actually exist clearly in this country until quite recently. Solar has gotten to the point where it's commercially viable and it's cheap. Not many companies, so lots of solar installers are saying, get yourself some solar and, it's going to save you money straight away. And people, okay, great. Where do I get my money? Well, you can get it from a bank or whatever. Not many, you're now starting to get solar companies who will finance the solar upfront and then repay it on payments.
Right.
That only works if you legally own your roof and you can take out a consumer loan if you qualify to take out a consumer loan. And what we're trying to do is figure out a business model that would work where you don't have to take out a loan, maybe because you're in rental accommodation, you don't own your roof. We want the community to finance the solar and for you to get the electricity a discount. But here's where it gets a bit complicated. We want you to get the electricity from your energy company, right?
Yeah.
So we enter a power purchase agreement with an electricity company like SSE. SSE buys the generation that the community is making on the roofs across the city,
Mhm.
and then either sells it directly to SSE customers in those houses,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
or buys the export, right? So
Yeah.
100% of the electricity is purchased, some of it at an export price, but
Yeah.
some of it being sold direct to the householder. So
Mm.
at the moment, I can have. It used to be very simple in this country. You know, you buy electricity and you pay a fixed price for it.
Yeah.
And then they introduced white meters, which is, you know, nuclear electricity cheap at night. So you've
Mhm.
a two-tier structure. And now we have, you know, a half-hourly metered electricity, and the price can vary during the day. Well, we want there to be a category of electricity, which is, oh, this is solar that was generated on your roof that we are selling to you. Why would I buy solar off my own roof? Well, you didn't pay for the panels, the community did. And our idea is that we will finance the solar and we will de risk it for you. So you don't have to make a decision about whether, you know, would you like to have solar on your roof? It'll be good for the country. It will decarbonize the economy. Well, I don't know. Probably
Yeah.
complicated. What if I want to sell my house? And all of that. We want to be able to talk to a room full of people and say, we want to put solar on all your roofs. It'll be free. It'll be risk free. You're going to get your energy at a discount. And on average, you'll save 30% on your energy bill. What's
Yeah.
what's not to like?
That energy will be consumed behind the meter, but the sort of remaining energy as generation will be exported to grid.
Yep.
But then it will be sold to other customer under the same energy network at a discounted price. But including
That
transport.
will be that is our aim. You're exactly right. So
Do you
what
know there's a company called Ripple Energy? Is it the same model?
I
And
know Ripple. Ripple are good. Their model looks like you're buying electricity from their solar farm, right?
yeah,
They're
in
investing
common method.
they're investing in solar for you, and you're getting a chunk of energy at a discount price.
I don't understand why would people do it if you have the transmission fee and all that and comes in, would that actually makes it cheaper? It just sounds like you're buying from another energy supplier. You won't be making a lot of saving because it's not behind the meter.
Well, and it's not even showing up on your energy bill anyway. Ripple is sending you a check. They're making a monthly payment. And what you're actually doing is you're investing in a solar farm
Yeah.
and they're actually paying you a dividend. They're not actually
Yeah.
care, carefully metering what you use. They're saying we're going to give you so much money every month because you've invested this much, and that's like selling you so much electricity at a discount because it's solar. But
Yeah.
it's all it's not real. And they're nice guys. It's a good marketing pitch,
Yes, yes, indeed.
but but it's not actual real. They're not genuinely pipelining. It's you're not getting your electricity from your panel off
Yeah.
a bit of the grid.
It's the commercial strategy anyway. I appreciate that, and I think it's good for community energy anyway.
Yeah,
Uh,
I like
yeah.
it. We've talked to their development one of their development directors. Maybe he's their development director.
Oh, is it the woman? I forgot her name.
Uh,
Yeah, I think definitely came across that on LinkedIn or something.
I can have a look. Who's the Joe
So
Wad Joe Wadsworth is the contact I've got at Ripple.
maybe it was him because there was a guy who came to Repowering London event last year, and then he said, "Oh, I'm from Ripple," and everyone's like, "Wow," but
Yeah,
he just said he wanted to do some volunteering or something. I don't know, but yeah,
cool.
Joe.
Well, sounds good. I all these different ideas, right? I'm talking to another company, a consultant who works with a New Zealand company called um, is it Energy Zero or Solar Zero? And they have about 60% market share of domestic battery storage in New Zealand, and
Okay.
about 20 or 30% market share of rooftop solar. And their
Mm,
model is that they are installing kit and leasing it to you, right? So
right.
you're making a regular monthly payment for
Yeah.
the kit that you've got from them. And
Mm,
we're saying kind of the same thing, but we don't want people to have to commit. We'd like to see it come out of the energy bill so that people aren't getting a magically lower energy bill because there's solar on their roof and then having to pay a monthly payment for the solar,
mm, mm,
because
mm.
it will be cleaner and simpler for most people if, oh, my energy bill is going down.
Yeah.
There's a little piece on my energy bill, if I bother to look at it, which I don't normally, that says, oh, some of it was solar energy. Okay, that's
Yeah.
helpful, right?
Yeah. That's nice. Cheaper and greener is what
And
you
we
want.
and we want it to be seen as a local microgrid so
Yeah.
that so that we can, when people haven't got a roof that's suitable for solar,
Yeah.
we can still sell them electricity from a local solar roof.
David, are you an engineer? Because I heard this sort of energy local model a lot of time, but I don't really understand how does that work. Like, since you are exporting some of your energy from your local site via the grid back to your
Lovely.
local area,
It's,
so I guess it will be within your DNO, but still there's some transmission. So how does that work?
it's very beautiful and it's naughty. I first heard about this a few years ago at a
Yeah.
conference in Manchester called Hacking Energy. And
Okay.
there was this engineer, lady engineer, Mary Gilly there.
Right.
And she explained what they were doing with
Mm-mm.
explaining how they're doing it, right?
Okay.
And she was saying, well, here's what we're doing. We've um, we've set up this co-op that you become a member of. It's a buying co-op, right?
Mm-mm.
I'll oversimplify, but suppose we've got 100 members. Uh,
Yeah.
and what we're doing is we're selling our members the energy from a hydropower scheme, right?
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And so working, we're measuring the output of the hydro scheme in any half-hour period.
Yeah.
And then we're looking at what people are using in any half-hour period, and we're
Mm.
allocating that energy fairly, right, between
Okay.
those people. Not all of it, you know. Well, if there's less energy generated than the people use, then you get a share of it, and it's allocated fairly, right?
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah, okay, I understand that. Um, and what we're doing is we have a match price, it's called. We agree, so we buy the electricity from the hydro scheme.
Yeah.
We pay it a little more than they would get on a PPA, on a commercial PPA, right? So
Yeah.
we would pay a little bit more because we want to encourage them to do more, make more energy to sell to the community. Okay,
Mm-mm.
it's very generous of you. And at the same time, that match price, that's what the customers are buying the electricity at, right? They're getting it at a discount. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
what grid charges, right? So I set out to try and understand this. And
Yeah.
what they'd got an electricity company called Co-op Energy
Mm-hmm.
to be doing the billing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I keep asking you, what's really going on? And to cut to the chase, as we say, within the electricity regulations, you are allowed to have an entity or a business operating on multiple sites, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's perfectly reasonable, you know. So I own I've got a little um, chocolate factory, and I've got 10 retail outlets across the city, or I've got a supermarket and a warehouse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big company, and I don't want to have an energy bill for every single store. Give
Yeah.
me
Yeah. Yeah.
give me a break. I just want to see it aggregated. Well, that seems fair enough, right? No energy company is going to disagree with that. They agree to it. Their billing system takes care of it. And then you say, "Oh, I've got a solar roof on one of my
Right.
buildings,
Yeah.
right? Um, but that's all right, yeah." Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's okay. You can aggregate that fairly. And then Mary comes along and says, "Oh, well, what I've got is I've got 100 members in my business who are community energy users, and I've got one member who's just generating energy. They're the hydro scheme, right?
Okay.
And I want a single aggregated bill.
Mm-hmm.
And under the regulations, and like the energy company look
Mm-hmm.
at it and they go, no, no, what you're doing is you're generating energy over here and using it over here, and you're avoiding network charges. That's what you're doing,
Ah, okay.
right?
Yeah, 'cause I feel like technically
Effectively,
it makes sense because you have to via the transmission network, there must be some energy losses and carbon emission.
yeah, but in the way that
Ah,
the way that the regulations were set up to allow for a single site to have um, for a commercial entity to have a number of to have a single aggregated bill. It was sort of,
mhm.
that's all right, that sounds fair enough. But then once you start adding generation in, a single aggregated bill can look like, well, stuff's being generated over here and used over here. And oh yeah, but on aggregate, you were using some energy. So that's fair enough, isn't it? And I
Mhm.
was at a Community Energy England conference where the manager of community energy for Bays, which was the precursor to DESNZ, Department for Energy. Bays was, and then before that was DEC. Anyway, I forget even what the initials Bays stand for now. But the manager for community energy for Bays came to this conference, and he basically said, we see that community energy groups are trying to get all their generation treated as behind the meter, and we will act to stop that.
Okay.
So there's a kind of process going on of Energy Local trying to hold on to their model, or
Mhm.
to get the government to agree to non-standard models of distribution that
Mhm.
allow community groups to generate locally and consume locally. At the
Mhm.
moment, as soon as you get involved in buying retail energy, you've got charges that are set at a national level that include use of the transmission network, the
Yeah.
national grid, and the
Mhm.
distribution network, right? And
Yeah.
the distribution network publishes a spreadsheet of all the different tariffs you could have and how much you got to pay to the grid and the network, and it's all meticulously organized and
Mhm.
hugely complex. And you have to be an energy company to, well, if you are an energy company, you have to work with that, because these are the tariffs that if you sell stuff on an XYZ night rate tariff, this is how much you got to pay and to who.
Mhm.
And what we're trying to do in community energy groups, trying to, so that the government's saying, what do community energy groups want? How can we encourage community energy? And some energy groups are saying, you've got to allow us to sell our energy direct to the community. And I'm saying, no, that's horribly complex. You do not want to do that. You want to use the existing energy companies who understand the infrastructure. It's sort of like there was a time when there used to be a national phone network, and you could buy a phone and all you could do is make calls on it. And then
Mhm.
everything went crazy, and we have the internet coming from, you buy internet access from a phone provider. How does that work? There were a few years when it got very complicated. But
Mm,
what remained was a network of phone provider businesses who are now the backbone for the use of the network by a very different kind of customers.
mm,
And I think that's what we want. We want the existing energy companies who look after the network to carry on doing that. So
mm,
it took me a while to find out that it was cooperative energy that Mary's group were working with. And it took cooperative energy a while to understand that what she wanted done with this apportioning the electricity and, you know, this much was generated here and this much gets charged here. It was very
mm.
complicated. They had to change their software, and
Yeah,
a lot of the energy companies don't write their own software. They're buying a standard package,
yeah.
and so they're not in a position to rewrite their software. And funnily enough, that's what makes companies like Ovo and Octopus very flexible, because they've written their own software. They've rewritten their distribution software,
All
uh,
right. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so they can. It's easier for them to introduce new tariffs and new billing models. And
Mm,
that's the challenge for my project ResNet, is finding an energy provider who can do the billing for us.
mm. Yeah.
Otherwise, we've got everything kind of sorted out. And at the moment, we we want to work with Mary because she already, not because we want a hydro scheme over here and users over here.
Mm,
We just want to use the billing model and have the electricity being made on the roof and sold to the house. But we still want that ability to bill somebody for electricity generated somewhere else. And the somewhere else is on your roof, but by panels that are owned by a co-op.
mm.
So the co-op then becomes the hydro scheme, if you like, but
Yeah.
it's a distributed hydro scheme. We've got solar panels and we've got them on loads of roofs across the city.
Mm,
And the way that we get people, so there's all sorts of little bits of complexity, but we get people to work with us by
mm.
basically paying them. You know, we say we've got an idea, and we want you to we want to work with you to develop this idea to the point where it's completely viable.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, for your group, what kind of support you need from there? Would that be helping you to support some other people on solar initial design or financial modeling? Uh, do you need any support on that kind of project development side?
Well, so at the moment, the project is just two of us, and we decided to deliberately keep it small and
Mm.
to work with other people. We want to create a model where we're working with community centers, and those community centers are the people we go through to recruit customers across
Ah,
the city,
okay.
right? And we
Yeah.
want to work with experts in the city, like financial modelers, like Bristol Energy Co-op, who know how to project manage putting solar on roofs. So we want to
Mm.
work with all the people who are experts and all the people who represent the end users, so that we're creating wealth within the community. And
Yeah.
so we got some grant money in during this last year that's just ending, coming to a close. And we used about half of that to pay for lawyers, to pay for a group to do some financial modeling, to use Bristol Energy Co-op to
Mm.
start to do some preliminary project planning and to validate our financial model and so on. So we're using little bits of money to start getting everybody to work together,
Mm.
to come out of their little silos and start to be friends.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to see what I can support on that one because it sounds like an interesting step to work on. And now you're talking Central Coast to try to get some funding on.
Well, a part
Uh,
of it, if you have energy company experience, one of the things, I mean, the most critical thing for us ultimately, so we had a project. I had a project about 3 or 4 years ago called
Mm,
Lockley Loves Solar, and we got grant funding for exactly the same idea. We were working with one community centre, which was Lockley's Neighbourhood Trust, and we were working with one community energy expert group, which was Low Carbon Gordano, and we
mm,
wanted to put a solar farm on 300 roofs and sell
mm,
electricity. And we had found ourselves an energy company who would do that with us.
mm,
Unfortunately, we were strong-armed into working with Bristol Energy Company. That's not too unfortunate a thing because it's a city's own energy company and it wanted to work with the community. They wanted to work with us. They were up for it. And then we were at the point we weren't going to be able to give people as much savings as we wanted at the time. One of the problems, of course, is that at the time, if batteries were expensive, and as soon as you added batteries into the equation, they made the electricity cost too much.
mm.
So um, either we needed to find people who would be at home most of the day, so they would use most of the electricity, because most people are out during the day and they don't get to use the solar. So
Yeah.
looked at when we did the analysis, the financial savings weren't great. And then along came COVID, and that meant that we couldn't go out and recruit people. And
Mm,
then Bristol City Council decided that it had been losing money on its energy company and it was going to sell it off. So
mm,
we were dependent on them for our energy bill processing, and
mm,
they just disappeared. So the project we had a first version of this project 3 or 4 years ago, and
mm.
it comprehensively died. It crashed
Ah.
against it crashed against the wall quite hard. And since then, I've been saying, well, I'm walking around with this idea. The cost of solar's coming down, and we're looking at the cost of storage coming down as well. So
Mm,
we could now look to say, we could put some solar on your roof. We could even put some storage in your house, and then
mm.
you would get to use most of the solar energy
Yeah.
because even if you're only at home in the evening, you'll get to use the solar. And of course, we want to mix it in with using the batteries from electric cars because then you get you get big batteries and you get them for free because they're like paid for out of the cost of buying the car. So that's the whole picture. You've got a reasonable view of what the project's trying to do. One of the things that the areas that we need work. So here's what we think that this idea could work anywhere. We've already got there's a one group in the country. So we talked to Centrica. When we talk to local grant giving bodies, they look at
Mm,
it and they say, "Oh, it seems a bit risky," and we're saying it's kind of more risky doing a wind turbine or a solar farm because you've got to find the land and then you've got to get the grid connection.
yeah.
We don't have to find land. We don't have to find a grid connection. If we can just get the billing model sorted out,
Mm,
we can walk into a community center one week, give a talk, have people sign up and have solar on their roofs the next week
mm,
to stop it. And the finance model is such that we can give people a reasonable return on investment. And so initially we would run a community share issue, but as soon as we've proved it on, say, 100 roofs, raise 1 million, put 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 kilowatts of solar on people's roofs, give them a little battery, monitor it, get somebody to do the billing, monitor what's going on for a few months, and then look, the capital's being repaid. People are paying a third less for their energy bill. This model works. What's not to stop it spreading across the city? And at that point, I don't see any reason why this couldn't go everywhere. And when we showed it to the lovely people at Centrica, their response was, let's see if I can. They oh, I got a slow transition on my slides here. No, I won't do it. I won't bore you with the complexities of my slideshow. But when we showed them what we'd got, they said it's complex, and it's ambitious, but it's replicable and it's scalable and it's commercial, right?
Yeah.
And then they said we want to. They didn't say we're not going to give you any money. They said we think this needs to go in a different direction. We want to have you work with our Energized Futures team, right? And they have, a future of energy model and a team working on it, and they want to put us in with that. The bad news is that slows us down because we suddenly were operating at the speed of a lumbering commercial entity.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas we would rather have said, well, just give us 100,000 and we'll do something useful with it. But we would love to be using your billing engine. We really would love to be using your billing engine. So it's a priority for us to find more than one energy company that we can work with, and to have those energy companies understand what we need and implement it. Mary Gilly knows how to do that because she's done it with 2 or 3 energy companies. First of all, she's doing it with Co-op Energy. Co-op Energy sold out to Octopus. Octopus started to be, but agreed to carry on working with Mary and her group. And then Mary started working with a company called, is it 100 Pure or 100 Energy? It's a small energy company that deals with green energy, maybe 100 Green. And so basically, we're trying to move from the point we think we understand all the variables. We spent 6 months talking to the right people, knowing who we would put in a team, and then we pretty much used up the first money. We only had about 40,000 pounds, 45,000 pounds. Put in for a new grant of 100,000. Oh, and we found a group who wanted some help putting a bid together themselves. They had initial work done in their area to locate suitable sites for a solar farm and for a wind turbine. And they also wanted, well, have you got any good ideas about retrofitting homes? And we, of course, down in Bristol here, we've got the company, Community Energy Solutions, who put together the wind turbine for Lawrence Weston. So that there really aren't many groups who could help you do a solar farm and a wind turbine. Not because lots of community energy groups know how to do a solar farm, but only one knows how to do a wind turbine. And so but they don't know how to do a solar farm. So we brokered a deal where we put together 2-3 different groups in Bristol to offer support in developing a wind turbine, solar farm, and some rooftop solar. And as soon as this government money comes out, what's anybody going to do, right? You will have you'll have places across the country that don't even have a community energy group, right? Who are being offered their fair share of 400 million. So if you said there are 600 constituencies in the UK, 400 million a year being offered by the government for community groups, well, that's 750,000. 750,000 is enough to put solar on at least 60 roofs. So every constituency in the country could immediately have a cluster of homes with solar on the roof owned by the community. And then as soon as you've proved that it works once, then you can say, well, we can spread this. How much solar is the room for in the country? And the answer is there's room for about 50 gigawatts of solar on community on domestic roofs in the country. So that's something short of 50 billion, but that's a lot of solar. So, but 50 gigawatts of solar is more energy than we use at midday in this country. So you're immediately talking about storage and hydrogen and all the rest of it. But why wouldn't you do this? Because as soon as you put solar on people's roofs, you're giving them access to low cost energy. And as soon as it's owned by the community, you're not being blackmailed. You're not being held to ransom by energy companies saying,
Mm-mm.
how much can we charge you for the energy? We're saying, oh, no, we own a bunch of generation. We're really happy to work with you, but it's got to be on an equitable and fair basis. So, I mean, there's all sorts of things, Richard, one of which is talking to other energy groups about
Yeah.
this model for them, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's what can you do in Bristol at the moment? We're just trying to assemble the next bit of grant money so that we can move the project further. We've got to have a billing provider. At the moment, that has to be Mary Gilly because she's
Mm-mm.
the only one there is. So we need to be looking for other ones,
Yeah.
and you know, so that's where we're at.
When will you get the funding if we're successful?
Well, the little bit of money for this group who want the wind turbine and everything, that will be agreed. That's already been agreed. It's just they haven't been notified. So we will get, you know, small money like 10, 20, 30,000 pounds over the
Mm.
next 6 months. But
Right.
we want to start to organize, we want to make sure using that money that we will be able to run an energy club. Because
Yeah.
as soon as we're sure we can run an energy club, then we can run a community share issue and start putting solar on people's roofs.
Mm-mm.
And the sooner we can start doing that in one place, then we can do it in other places. We know other places who are interested. We want Community Energy England to be interested.
Mm-mm.
It also helps. Do you have any more contacts at CEE yourself?
Community Energy England. I think you should have those contacts as well.
I mean, I know the people there, but I was wondering if you have any personal good contacts there.
Oh no, no. I have a conversation with them before. But it was last year, to be
Yeah,
honest.
okay.
And
Well,
yeah, they just really care about the policy thing, policy study and so on. So that's the only conversation that I had with them.
okay. Well, we've got
I forgot who was it? Is it the guy? He I forgot his name.
well, we're in touch with Duncan.
Yeah, Duncan Law. Yeah.
Yeah, Duncan Law. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. I,
Yeah, I'm just trying to see is there anything that I can help you to support on all the stuff that I mentioned just now? Because it's great to see what you've done so far and just trying to see what can be involved. So yeah, to support or if not, obviously I can wait until you got the next step, the funding. I mean, I'm
well,
already
we're trying to figure out. We want to pay ourselves. We want to pay other people. We want it to be fair. We want it to make money. Uh, this should be commercially very viable. Our aim is to cut people's energy bills by about
yeah.
30%, but to have a suppose well energy bills in when I was younger, energy bills were about £1,500 a year on average, and £800 or £900 of that would be electricity, £500 or so would be gas, and that was it. It was all clean and simple. Now
Mm,
prices have gone through the roof, but our aim is to cut that energy bill by about a third, and then have so maybe £50 go to the local community centre. So we're starting to subsidize communities in building central resources, not just for energy, but for housing and for resilience and so on.
mm,
So that's the aim is to create a model that quickly starts to generate small funding, but brings in, first of all, I mean, at first, when you're not getting big revenues from energy, you're actually installing lots of solar. So you've still, your cash flows are early because you are high because you're doing your capital spend early on.
Yeah.
And once you've done your capital spend, you're getting revenue income from generation. And
Yeah.
we want to ensure a smooth transition. But initially, there's going to be, so my idea is that suppose you have £100,000 grant for a community
Mhm.
to develop its plan, right? And they're they're then going to get £1 million from the government scheme to do a bunch of houses. Out of that first £10,000 or £100,000, you've got money to pay a local project manager in every constituency. And then we would say, okay, and let's have that network of project managers all working with this central group as we're developing policy, as we're making contacts and so on. So you're
Mhm.
shifting from an approach that says, oh, here's Community Energy England. It's holding together all these disparate groups who are doing different projects. And you say, no, actually, we've got one part of the model for energy, which is it's the same model. Every time you get a grant for doing an energy project, they say, we want your model to be scalable and replicable. And what happens is no project ever gets scaled or replicated, right?
Mhm.
And we're saying our project is scalable and replicable. And we're going to start off by doing it in each of 5 constituencies to
So
show it.
when will you get the green light from the people, from Century Park, let's say, or from
It's
anyone else on
the green light comes when you finally realize that you can give yourself permission, right? That the money's all there, right?
Mhm.
So what we're doing is we've got Mary Gilly lined up, and we've got Bristol Energy Co-op who are prepared to project manage, and they're also prepared to run a share issue. But there's also a couple of other groups who do. There's
I'm just trying to see, since we have a good bonding today, is there any chance I can, support you? Or I know some few people down in Bristol, or they're still a student at university or somewhere nearby like Cardiff to support on marketing, project management, something like that.
I would love that. It would be great. And at the moment, the embarrassing thing is at the moment it's just me and Iris holding it
Um,
together at the center, and we need to expand that group and get people, working on specific bits of it. Uh,
yeah,
and part of so we're in between grants. We're just wrapping up our first grant. We're looking for the next lot. But as soon as we have the next money in, we would hold a technical meeting uh,
mhm.
and bring everybody together and basically lay out a timeline for what we're going to do.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it will be quite intensive work, especially when it comes to domestic. You're trying to talk to people, doing marketing, poster.
Yeah,
From that onwards, or trying to, individual customer, if they want to sign up, they want to know how much they're going to save and modeling stuff like that.
it's
It
like
sounds
like
like it would be around Q2 next year. You got gonna get some progression from there.
yeah, we will need to have energy champions in each area, right? So people
Mm.
who understand energy, people
Yeah,
who
yeah,
can have the conversations
yeah.
with people, and who will stay in touch with people all the
Yeah,
while they're getting up and running and trying to
yeah,
understand the energy bill. So we will need to create that, um, you know, people
mm,
rich infrastructure
yeah,
of community support, some of which will be people acting out of community centres who the local people know,
yeah,
and some of which will be technical people who understand the more detailed stuff, and there'll be a sort of
yeah,
a backwards and forwards flow
yeah.
amongst
Um,
the energy experts in the community. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. I might have to go because I might have a friend coming to me and he want my direction. But before I finish, I was just wondering if do you know any other energy group that might be looking for support on project development, marketing, or modeling, stuff like that?
Well, as naturally, um, I don't know. Well, yeah, because the one group that we have got this grant with
Mm,
will probably be looking for technical people to work with them.
right.
Right. So we are in a position to do some marketing to start recruiting other groups to say, would you be interested in this? And
Mm,
then providing the consulting support as they get up to speed.
right.
So in
What
a
kind
way,
of project are they working on?
sorry.
What kind of project are they working on?
Well, at the moment, so I've got one group in a town near Bristol
Oh,
who are forming an energy group.
oh,
And
okay.
and what they've got is they've got a group of good people, couple of councillors,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
energy expert, and so on, but they
Mm,
don't have a technical project manager.
right.
So it's almost like needing people on the team who understand the technology, who understand what that they've actually got somebody from the grid who's on their group. They've been quite intelligent, but there's going to be more over the next year. Within the next year, there's going to be groups all over the country that want this.
Yeah. Which group are they you referring to forming a new group?
I can't give away any names at the moment. Some of these
Okay.
groups are like embargoed. I've only met some of them, but this is a town near Bristol, and we will soon be in a position to talk about who they are, and
Mm.
you know, and say, well, I know this young engineer who's. What's your training? Are you an electrical engineer or?
Not really. I'm a business development guy in SSE. And before that, I was sort of the business commercial management
Okay,
guy, not a
that's,
technical guy.
uh,
Um,
business. I mean, that's the point. That's what's needed is for
yeah,
people to understand the nuts and bolts of how you run a group and how it will stack up.
yeah. In
That's
that way. So I think community energy at the end of the day, it's not just doing a project. One second, one second. I'm so sorry. I got a mate just come in. I need to talk to him.
okay. Well, why don't we? We're just going to have to. We're just about to pull ourselves together for the new year,
Yes, of course.
and why don't we talk again soon? I mean, you got some useful ideas from this?
I haven't because domestic is not something I'm very familiar with, to be honest. But if I heard something further down the line, I'll definitely let you know. And if you need someone to support on marketing or on financial modeling, you can let me know as well.
Well,
In the meantime.
that's going to be coming up, and we will be. I guess we will be putting. We've already got the core of a financial team and
Mm-mm.
share information with you because we're working with Future Leap and Bristol Energy Co-op on our finances, and one
Oh.
and one of our directors is a is an fully qualified FCA.
Mm-mm.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
so look, I'll leave you with your friend, and
yeah.
let's talk again soon. Think on these things.
Yeah,
See
100%.
what bubbles up. Yeah,
Yeah. 100%.
good. It's been good meeting you, Richard.
Yeah, me too. My pleasure. It's a new idea, a new initiative. It's very passionate and fascinating. 100%.
Cool.
Cool. Thank you so much. Thanks so
Talk
much,
soon.
David.
Yeah, nice talking with you.
Yeah,
Lovely.
cheers.